Hi, welcome to my kitchen. I'm Lynn Sharp, your host of Eating Sharp, and today I'm going to show you a bread recipe that is so easy. There's no kneading, there's no mess, and there's no fuss. And it's about 40 cents a loaf. It is such a great recipe. You can do so much with it. You can make pizza dough, you can make cinnamon rolls, you can add eggs to it, you can make it sweet. This recipe has no limits, and it is a great recipe. You know, growing up, my mother used to knead and knead and knead that bread, and she made it every Saturday. About 15 loaves. We would go through that much growing up. But this recipe will blow her socks off. There is little work involved. So first of all, you'll want to get 6.5 cups of flour. Now I divide that up. I do 3 cups of regular flour. Here's my mom's old container that I was able to get from her, and I put my regular flour in this. And then I have another 3.5 cups of bread flour. Now you can use all bread flour or all flour. I just seem to find that this combination of half and half works best in this recipe. Next, you need to have 1.5 tablespoons of kosher salt. Now I like just to use some coarse sea salt. I think it's best flavor salt there is on the market. Next, you're going to need 1.5 tablespoons of fast-acting yeast. It's that really rapid acting yeast. About 1.5 tablespoons, if I didn't tell you. Okay? So you're going to need a container, and I love these old ice cream containers. They work just well for recipes like this. Now you need to have 3 cups of water at approximately 100 degrees. So it's just a little bit more than body temperature. So let me measure that out and get it into the dish, and we'll be right back. Hi, welcome back. Now I have to admit I did cheat on the temperature of the water. I did use my candy thermometer to make sure that I got that water right at 100 degrees because I don't want anything to go wrong with this recipe. Excuse me. So we're going to go ahead and add the 1.5 tablespoons of the kosher salt, and we're going to add the 1.5 tablespoons of the yeast. And I like to just let that yeast just start to activate. So I like to give it just a minute or two to start to activate in the warm water before I add the flour. Okay? So we can go ahead and add all the flour. Now this is unsifted flour. You just want to scoop it and level it off. Again, it is 6.5 cups. And I like to do 3 cups of regular flour and then 3.5 cups of the bread flour. So now we're just going to mix this in. Now if you want to go ahead and add an egg to this, you would want to cut back on your water a little bit and make sure that you whip that egg together before adding it to the flour, and you'd want to add it after you add the flour to the water so that the water doesn't cook the egg before you can get it mixed in. Now you just want to mix this flour and the water and the yeast and the salt together until everything is moist. And it's going to take, a minute or so. Don't worry, just mix it in, get it all moist. It'll be kind of lumpy and moist. You'll be able to tell, and I'll give you a close-up of this before we go when we go to break, so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so that looks about good right there. Clean off your spoon because you don't want to waste any of this dough. Okay, put that in there like that. It's a little sticky. Yes, it is. Okay. Then you'll want to put a lid on this, but you won't want to totally seal it. You want to just leave a little opening so that the gases can escape. Now this sits for 2 hours, and when we come back, I'll show you the next process in doing this easy, fun bread. Be right back. Hi, welcome back. I have our first dough rising here, and I have some dough that I've had in the refrigerator. Now this dough will last about 14 days in your fridge, and when you're done with this pot, just make your new dough right in the same container without even having to wash it. These little bits of dough that are here on the sides are going to really flavor the next batch of dough. It's almost sort of like a sourdough start. Okay, so we're going to take this dough out, and it is a little sticky. That's okay. And I'm only going to have just about a grapefruit size, and you'll want to cut it. It's best just to cut the dough. And you want to flour it just a hair, like this. And what you're going to do now is you're going to form this into a ball. And you're just going to pull it around and turn, pull it and turn. What you're doing here is creating a gluten cloak. You want that surface tension on the top of the dough to be smooth and tight. This is going to really help the bread. Just make sure it's nice and floured and just pull it. It just takes a few seconds to make this, and there you have it, just like this. We're going to go ahead and put this right on the parchment paper, and we're going to let it sit for about 20 to 25 minutes. So until that happens, take a break and we'll be right back. Hi, welcome back. While this dough is rising, you'll want to set your oven at 450, and you'll want to put your stone in so that it can get nice and hot. Now this is a Pampered Chef stone, but any stoneware will work, okay? So put this in at about, when you have about 20 minutes left for your dough to rise. We'll be right back. Hi, welcome back. It's been about 30 to 40 minutes on this out of the fridge. If you shape your dough right after it's risen the 2 hours, you only need to raise it about 20 minutes. So there is a little difference. So next what you want to do is you want to make sure that you have a nice flour on your dough like this. And we're going to go ahead and slice it so that we can let the gases out. And this will just make it really nice and beautiful once we get that out of the oven. I'm just going to slide this parchment paper right onto the stone and bake it for about 30 to 40 minutes at the 450. Now some people like to have a pan underneath the stone that they'll pour a cup of water in to steam up their oven. Some people feel that it makes a better crust. I really don't care either way, so some days I'll do it, some days I won't. Also, you don't have to cook it on a stone. The stone will give you that even brown all the way around. If you need to cook it right on a cookie sheet, you'll get that nice golden brown color on the top, but you really won't get that golden brown color on the bottom. So either way, you're going to get a nice loaf of bread. It's just how you want it to turn out. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in the oven. I've got it slit to let those gases escape. You can see here how high the one that we mixed up has already risen, just sitting there. And it's got about another hour to go, or 45 minutes, and then that one I will put in the fridge and have that ready to go on my next loaf. So let me get these in the oven, and we'll be right back when I pull that out and we can take a look at that. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. The bread I just pulled out of the oven and the house smells fabulous. It reminds me of when my mother cooked bread every weekend and the neighbors from down the street would come over to get a hot slice of bread with butter and jam. Now there's two classic things that have happened here that it's actually great that it did so that I can show you. Because this dough was cold, you can see that one of the slits worked perfect and the other slit kind of bubbled up. That lets you know that the slit wasn't deep enough to let out those gases. So you want to make sure that those slits are deep enough. Here's one that I did earlier this week, and you can see that the slits were deep enough to let out those gases. And it's got a beautiful texture inside. Now you want to let this bread cool down at least 20 to 30 minutes before you cut it. If it is a little doughy inside, you'll want to increase your flour by about, say 1/4 cup. And then your baking time by about 5 to 10 minutes. And that should solve that problem. So let me go ahead and take a taste of the bread that I did earlier. Wow. That reminds me so much of my mother's bread. It is unbelievable. The crust and the airiness of the bread. I did put a little butter on this, but man, this is so delicious. I cannot wait to cut into this fresh bread. So this is Lynn Sharp with Eating Sharp and Eat Well. And remember, it's all about the food. Bye-bye. Okay, remember to put this risen bread right into the fridge. You can see that it's a great looking bread dough. You go ahead and you can see the bubbles coming up. Go ahead and just put the lid right on it and put it right in the fridge. It'll last 14 days in the fridge covered. You can pull it out and make a fresh loaf every day. Bye-bye now.